Good morning, good morning, good morning, people of God. Listen, so I'm getting to some juicy stuff, baby. I wonder why they left out the book of Judith, the book of Yehudith. You know, this is an encouragement for the women of God and also the men of God. It takes wise men to recognize and honor a wise woman of God, baby, for she shall be praised, a woman that fears the Lord. But many of you've already read the first. I shared some of the chapters as I was reading. I was up reading. I fell asleep reading. I woke back up reading, and but I'm gonna hurry up because I got some stuff to do. I needed to get out and cut the grass a little early. My uncle was in the hospital. He wasn't feeling well, so I don't think he's gonna be coming up here anytime soon. But I got work to do. I got to stock up the chicken coops. I got to do some things around his house. But anyway, before I get to all of that, I start with this word, and I'm on some juicy stuff that I just felt I would share. I think this will bless my brothers and my sisters. Um, a woman of God is to be praised, right? She is to be honored. And here in the book of Yehudith, which is Judith, which was what was the widow. She was the woman of Manasseh. Manasseh died from a heat stroke, but he was a good, hardworking man because it tells us he left her with everything. Pretty much, she was a widow, but she was well taken care of, baby. She had plenty. She wanted for nothing, and it says she was a wise woman. She always prayed to God, and she always fasted, except on the even of the Sabbath, the new moons, and many other times where she chose not to fast. But she was just dedicated to God. So anyway, let me spill the tea. So basically, the children of Israel came under attack by Holofernes, if I pronounced it right or whatever. Holofernes. Now he was warned by um if you go back a few chapters, and this is the Sefer by Akior. He questioned about who these people were, like why they were so standoffish, right? Because the children of Israel, them folk had their own land, their own water wells. They didn't bother nobody, but they were just standoffish. So Holofernes questioned Akior, and he asked them, "What is it with these people, whatever?" So he explained they were under Nebuchadnezzar, which is Nebuchadnezzar. Remember with King Nebuchadnezzar, blah blah blah. When he got um, sent into the wilderness, all of that. This was all after him, right? And so, um, at core, Holofernes was inquiring about the children of Israel, and Achior. I believe I'm pronouncing these names right. It's all new to me, y'all. It's all new, right? I ain't got as much experience studying this book, but anyway, Achior, he was explaining to him that the children of Israel, they were pretty much, how they got, how when they sinned and they were punished, but they were pretty much a blessed people. So, so in a nutshell, what he told them, as long as they do right by their Elohim, by their God, he protects them. They are strong people, but whenever they sin, if they sin against their God, they get punished. But he was telling Holofernes, because Holofernes wanted to go, he had some of his people advised him to go to war against them. And so he was saying, you know, humbly telling him, if they are doing right by their God, you're not going to win against them. I would not go to war against them. You know, their God protects them. They are a blessed people. And so anyway, after he explained to Holofernes who they were, Holofernes got upset with him. And he was like, "Oh, you're going to die too, but I'm going to wait till I go. I'm going to show you. I'm not afraid." Pretty much he was prideful and arrogant. He was saying, "I'm not afraid of them. I'm going to go up and take over their land, and I'm going to save you. And because we're going to kill you after we kill them." Pretty much he wasn't afraid of their God, is what he was saying. So anyway, um, what they did was they surrounded the children of Israel where they got their waters from, and they were saying that, okay, where their wells and all their water ran, they went and they took over that, and they said, "Oh, we'll just make them, they'll die. Some of them will die off through thirst or whatever." And they were saying, if they don't have water, that weakens them or whatever. So when they went and they surrounded the children of Israel, some of the children of Israel they fainted from thirst. Their water ran out. They started complaining or whatever. And what some of the governors came up with, they were just in like a panic. They were frantic because they were like, the women and children, they didn't have water. You need water for everything. So they kind of crippled them. They didn't, well, not kind of, they crippled them, right? They shook them up. And so what some of the governors, the men, they were kind of afraid. And so what they were saying is, why is God punishing us? They just start complaining. They prayed, they were crying, they were really just crying out to God for help. They weren't really, you know, like trying to fight back or anything. They just gave up. And so what some of them were saying, the leaders, Uzziah, who or whatever his name was, Uzziah, who so what basically they were saying is, we just pray for 5 days, and we just go on and cry out to God for 5 days, and then after that, if he doesn't do anything to deliver us, we'll just go. It's better that we'll give ourselves over as spoil, and our women, our children, and at least we, that being their slaves and working for them, that's better than dying. We'll just surrender to them. And so Judith, Yehuda, she heard about it and she rebuked them. She went over and she rebuked them like, first of all, you didn't even go to see this man or pursue, knowing who our God is. Why would you put God to the test like that? Why would you anger God like that, knowing that he's all powerful, he's almighty, he can do anything? So to just say you're going to surrender, if you can't discern the heart of man, how can you really reach God and understand God? So she's rebuking them, but from a pure place, from love. And she's also encouraging them. And after they listened to her, after they listened to her, Uzziah said to her, he said, all that you have spoken, have you spoken with a good heart, and there is none that may gainsay your words, like say nothing negative about your words. For this is not the first day where your wisdom was manifested, but from the beginning of your days, all the people knew of your understanding. So basically what he's saying is, you know, we always knew you always just was a wise woman. Everybody knew that you were just so wise, and he praised her for his words. So he said, okay, he listened to what she said. He said, okay, well, pray for us. And so she said, okay, I'm going to pray for you. But then I'm also, what comes to my spirit after I pray, I'm not going to tell you. Don't question me. I don't want anybody opposing me. Just follow, let me do what I do. Okay. But we're going to pray and let me do what I do. Right. This was a strong woman. And so he agreed. And so she prayed, and I shared some of the scriptures in my community section, but it only lets me share 5 photos. I try to screenshot and share it for those of you who don't have the scripture. So I decided I'm going to read some more of this. Now, I'm going to read from where she prayed, right? And what she said to God. So I'm going to read her prayer, which is Judith 9. And I'm going to read all the way to through 13, right? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's 5 chapters, but it's only like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages, right? So let me hurry up because I ain't gonna make this video that long. But and some of these words and stuff like that, y'all bear with me now. All of it is in Hebrew. This was the stuff that was deleted from the scriptures. But anyway, I'm gonna read Yehuda chapter 9. So after she had already spoke to Uzziah, and they asked her to pray or whatever, she was basically giving them hope. Dang, you on my thing, man. He come and squeeze himself on me by in the chair. So Judith, she prayed. And so verse 9, chapter 9, it says, Yehuda fell upon her face and put ashes upon her head and uncovered the sackcloth wherewith she was clothed. And I'm going to read kind of, speedily through this. I ain't going to be stopping and stuff because I don't try to make it that long. Sackcloth wherewith she was clothed. And about the time that the incense of that evening was offered in Jerusalem in the house of Yahuwah, Yehuda cried with a loud voice and said, O Yahuwah Elohim of my father Shimei, to whom you gave a sword to take vengeance of the strangers, who loosened the belt of a maid to defile her and discovered the thigh of her shame. This is she praying, and polluted her virginity to her reproach. For you said, it shall not be so, and yet they did so. Wherefore you gave their rulers to be slain, so that they dyed their bed in blood, being deceived. So she's reminding God of what he did prior, right? Remember when Simeon those killed the guys that raped the girl? So anyway, she's reminding God of what he did prior. So she says, wherefore you gave their rulers to be slain, so that they dyed their bed in blood, being deceived, and smote the servants with their adonim, and the adonim upon their thrones, and have given their women for a prey, and their daughters to be captives, and all their spoils to be divided among your dear children, which were moved with your zeal, and abhorred the pollution of their blood, and called upon you for aid. O Elohim, O Elohe, hear me also, a widow. So she's reminding him of what he's done in the past, how powerful he is for when people when they are wrong, right? So she said, I'm a widow, hear me also, which God knows she's a widow, but she is reminding him. We are to remind God. For you have wrought not only those things, but also the things which fell out before, and which ensued after. You have thought upon the things which are now and which are to come. Yeah, what things you did determine were ready at hand, and said, Lo, we are here. For all your ways are prepared, and your judgments are in your foreknowledge. For behold, Asher is multiplied in their power. They are exalted with horses and men. Yeah, because they had over the Asher. She's talking about the Holophors, their army. They have over 170,000 footmen and over 12,000 horsemen. She said, they are exalted with horse and man. They glory in the strength of their footmen. They trust in shield and spear and bow and sling, and know not that you are Yahuwah that break the battle. Come on, Judith. See, your Yahuwah is your name. Throw down their strength in your power, and bring down their force in your wrath. For they have, oh, I just heard in my spirit, the prayer of the righteous availeth much. Oh, glory. Pray, baby, pray. It don't matter what it look like. It don't matter how big they is coming against you. Even the biggest one, God can make them fall. You see what he did with David and Goliath? Oh, glory. So anyway, she said, throw down their strength in your power, and bring down their force in your wrath, for they have purpose to defile your sanctuary, and to pollute the tabernacle where your glorious name rests, and to cast down with sword the horn of your altar. Behold their pride, and send your wrath upon their heads. Give into my hand, which am a widow. Oh, glory. Now she asking God for power, baby. Give me the power. Oh, glory. Give into my hand, which am a widow. I'm a widow, the power that I have conceived. Smite by the deceit of my lips the servant with the prince, and the prince with the servant. So she asking God to give her wisdom in her lips, the words to say. Break down their stateliness by the hand of a woman. For your power stands not in multitude, nor your might in strong men. For you are an Elohim of the afflicted, and a helper of the oppressed, an upholder of the weak. Oh, glory. A protector of the forlorn, and a savior of them that are without hope. I pray you, O Elohim of my father, and Elohim of the inheritance of Yasharel, Israel, Yahuwah of the heavens and earth, creator of the waters, king of every creature. Yes, God, hear my prayer, and make my speech and deceit to be their wound and stripe. So she asking God for the wisdom, the cleverness to deceive the adversary so she can destroy them. She asking him for the words to speak, the wisdom, the strength, and the courage to deceive them and destroy them. Oh, glory. Ask and it shall be given. And she said, make my speech and deceit to be their wound, and scribe who have purposed cruel things against your covenant and your sanctified house, and against the top of Sion, and against the house of the possession of your children, and make every nation and tribe to acknowledge that you are the Elohim, the creator of all power and might, and that there is none other that protects the people of Yasharel but you. That's right. Ain't nobody protect the children of Israel but God. Elohim. And today we are still the children of Israel. So anyway, that was her prayer, right? Ain't that thing was powerful now? That prayer was powerful. Judith. Oh, glory. Uzziah said, he said, you was a wise woman. We always knew it from the time of your beginning. You was a woman of understanding. See, it take a wise man. It take a man of God. Anybody just can't recognize that. Because if a woman, look how she went and rebuked them, and she told them, going back in verse 8, she said, "Oh, ye governors of the inhabitants of Bethula, for your words that ye have spoken before the people this day are not right." She rebuked them because they were going to give up. But it take a wise man, a man of God, to listen and recognize the wisdom in his woman, in a woman, And she was a widow woman, but they listened to her. Some women, you tell some men something these days, they get mad at you. Oh, a woman post, they start quoting Paul, keep quiet. But really, God gave a woman as a helpmeet, as a helpmate. The sisters are supposed to help the brother. The brothers are supposed to protect and love on the sisters. But then there are times when the brothers need encouragement too. These men, they were men of God, but they were afraid. They felt defeated. All their water and stuff was gone. So they come up with their plan. But then God used this woman's wisdom to go and rebuke them in a loving way. And she encouraged them, and she reminded them of just how big their God was. Don't you give up. We ain't going to surrender. And they listened to her. Two is better than one, baby. They listened to her, and then they told her, okay, now pray for us. They knew she was a wise woman. And check this out. Verse 10. Now, after that, she had ceased to cry unto the Elohim of Yashua. She ended her prayer and had made an end of all these words. She rose where she had fallen down and called her maid and went down into the house in the which she abode in the Sabbath, which she stayed for the Sabbath, and in her feast days, that the house she stayed, and pulled off the sackcloth which she had on, and put off the garments of her widowhood, and washed her body all over with water, and anointed herself. So she put off the garments of her widowhood and anointed herself with precious ointment, meaning she put on some nice smelling perfume. So she's and braided the hair of her head and put on a tire upon it and put on her garments of gladness. Okay, so wherewith she was clad during the life of Menashah, her man. Okay, so she put on the garments of gladness that which she used to wear when Menashah was alive. Menashah died from a heat stroke, right? So she put off her garments of widowhood, meaning looking like a widow or looking all bummy, that some folk would say, or hiding herself. And she put on things that beautified herself and that showed her beauty. So let's see what's going to happen here. She's getting real pretty, real beautiful. And she took sandals upon her feet and put about her bracelets and her chains and her rings and her earrings and all her ornaments, and decked herself bravely to allure the eyes of all men that should see her. Okay, now, so she making herself look a little sexy, right? She gonna entice all the men that see her, because men are attracted to the beauty of a woman. So she know what she's doing now. So anyway, then, verse 5, then she gave her maid a bottle of wine and a cruse of oil, and filled a bag with parched grain and lumps of figs and with fine bread. So she folded all these things together and laid them upon her. Thus they went forth to the gate of the city of Bet-Eula, and found standing there Uzziahu and the ancients of the city, which is he was the governor, and Chabris and Charmis. And when they saw her, that her countenance was altered and her apparel was changed, they wondered at her beauty very greatly, and said unto her, the Elohim of the Elohim of our fathers give you favor, and accomplish your enterprises to the glory of the children of Yasharel, and to the exaltation of Jerusalem. Then they worshipped Elohim. She was looking hot, baby. She was looking pretty. And when she said unto them, command the gates of the city to be open unto me, that I may go forth to accomplish the things whereof ye have spoken with me. Right? Remember, she told him, don't question me. After we prayed, she had already talking to Uzziah. She said, I'm going to pray. And then what I do, I ask that you don't question me or whatever. And so they opened the gates for her. Just her and her maid now. Just think about these men sitting back, letting that woman walk out that gate. A woman, she walking in her faith. But I'm just imagining her. I'm just imagining two women back of that time when they opening the gate and they walking through, her and her maid with all that stuff. But anyway, um, and so she said, I may go forth and accomplish the things whereof ye have spoken with me. So they commanded the young men to open unto her as she had spoken. And when they had done so, Yehudith went out, she and her maid with her, and the men of the city looked after her until she was gone down the mountain, until she had passed the valley, and they could no longer see her. So they watched her until they began to go all the way down the mountain, down the valley, where they couldn't see her no more, and they let her go. They let her go, as she said. Um, but what the Bible said, the righteous is as bold as a lion. So anyway, thus they went straight forth in the valley, and the first watch of Asher met her, meaning the other camp that they're going to now, the enemies. They met her. They walked straight into the camp of their enemies, and they took her and asked her, of what people are you, and whence do you come, and whither do you go? And she said, I am a woman of the Ivorim, and am fled, which is the Israelites, and am fled from them, for they shall be given you to be consumed. And I am coming before Holofernes, the chief captain of your army, to declare words of truth, and I will show him a way whereby he shall go, and win all the hill country without losing the body or life of his men. Now, when the men heard her words and beheld her countenance, they wondered greatly at her beauty, and said unto her, you have saved your life in that you have hasted to come down to the presence of our Adonai, of our Lord. They so full of pride that they so full of pride that, telling her basically, you didn't save your life, that you done come down here to us, pretty much, because they gonna go up there and kill all the people. Now therefore come to his tent. They're gonna take her to the tent of Holofernes, their captain. She says, now therefore come to his tent, and some of us shall conduct you until they have delivered you to his hands. And when you stand before him, be not afraid in your heart, but show unto him according to your word, and he will entreat you well. See, everybody, all these men being so kind to her. She's such a pretty little thing that decked herself out. See, that beauty throwing them off. And so they're telling her how to approach the king and all of that, right? And he will treat you well. Verse 17. Then they chose out of them 100 men to accompany her and her maid, and they brought her to the tent of Holofernes. Then was there a concourse throughout all the camp, for her coming was noise about the tent, and they came about her as she stood without the tent of Holofernes, till they told him of her. And they wondered at her beauty, like so many people heard about it. Everybody keep coming around to watch her and admire her. And they wondered at her beauty and admired the children of Israel because of her. And everyone said to his neighbor, who would despise this people that have among them such women? Like when they saw her beauty, they were like, dang, these people are, based off of what they saw with this woman's countenance, they're like, man, these people are blessed people. They got these kind of women among them. Everybody getting thrown off by that outer beauty. So check this out now. So, and they wondered at her beauty, admire her, who would despise the people that have among them such women? Surely it is not good that one man of them be left, who being let go might deceive the whole earth. And they that lay near Holofernes went out, and all his servants, and they brought her into the tent. Now Holofernes rested upon his bed under a canopy, which was woven with purple and gold and emeralds and precious stones. So they showed him of her, and he came out before his tent with silver lamps going before him. And when Yehudith was come before him and his servants, they all marveled at the beauty of her countenance. And she fell down upon her face and did reverence unto him. And his servants picked her up, like when he came out, and she fell down, tried to show him honor and respect, right? When Holofernes came out. But as soon as she tried to show him honor and respect, the servants picked her up. Then said Holofernes unto her, woman, be of good comfort, fear not in your heart, for I never heard any that was willing to serve Nebuchadnezzar, which was Nebuchadnezzar, the king of all the earth. Now therefore, if your people that dwell in the mountains had not set light by me, I would not have lifted up my spirit against them, for they have done these things to themselves. But now tell me wherefore you are fled from them. Like, tell me why you done came from them and you come here unto us. For you are come for safeguard. Be of good comfort. You shall live this night and hereafter. Verse 4, for none shall hurt you, but entreat you well, as though, so he's thinking, they all thinking she done left her people and she came to them so that they could save her, right? And so they taking her in, everybody letting her know, oh, we gonna protect you. You know, everybody just so mild, they happy to have this pretty woman and come in their camp. So what he's saying is, for none shall hurt you, but entreat you well, as they do the servants of King Nebuchadnezzar, my Adonai. Then Yehuda said unto him, receive the words of your servant. Then Judith said to him, receive the words of your servant and suffer your handmaid to speak, meaning allow me to speak in your presence. And I will declare no lie to my Adonai this night. And if you will follow the words of your handmaid, Elohim will bring this thing perfectly to pass by you, and my Adonai shall not fail on his purposes. So she's saying, allow me to speak. She's speaking to him humbly. Allow me to speak. And if you listen to everything I say, God will bring it past perfectly. And so, as Nebuchadnezzar, king of all the earth, lives, and his power lives, who has sent you for the upholding of every living thing, for not only men shall serve him by you, but also the beasts of the field and the cattle and the fowls of the air shall live by your powerful um okay, this is her speaking. This is she speaking. If you will follow the words, I'm going back up. And if you will follow the words of your handmaid, Elohim will bring this thing perfectly to pass by you, and my Adonai shall not fail his purposes. And this is Judith continuing to speak. As Nebuchadnezzar, king of all the earth, lives, and his power lives, who has sent you for the upholding of every living thing. For not only men shall serve him by you, but also the beasts of the field and the cattle and the fowls of the air shall live by your power under Nebuchadnezzar and all his house. For we have heard of your wisdom and your policies, and it is reported in all the earth that you only are excellent in all the kingdom. So now she's bigging him up, right? She's giving him the big head. She's praising him, letting him know we respect you and we fear you because we already know you're going to have all the power, all of this. Listen. So she's telling him everything he wants to hear that, that will make him, soothe him over. Right. And remember, she prayed and asked God for the words to say, her mouth to bless her mouth to be deceitful, to deceive the enemy, and her countenance. Right. So the countenance is already working, baby. Everybody is marveled at that beauty. And now she's speaking the words that are coming to her spirit to say to him. So, in the kingdom feast. Now, as concerning the matter which Akiyahor, she's telling them, for we have heard of your wisdom and your policies, and it is reported in all the earth that you only are excellent in all the kingdom, and mighty in knowledge, and wonderful in feats of war. Now, as concerning the matter which Akiyahor did speak in your council, we have heard his words, for the men of Betula saved him, and he declared unto all them. So she's reminding him what Akiyahor spoke to him, right? The guy that they went and they took it, what they did, they took him and they put him in, tied him to a tree near the camp of the children of Israel. They told him they was going to save him. They were going to kill him after they killed them. And the children of Israel came and untied him and had him in the camp, right? And so now she's reminding him of what Akiyahor told them about the people. If they sin against their God, then they will be punished. But if they don't sin, their God will protect him, right? So check this out. So she was like, everything which Kakir did speak in your counsel, we have heard his words, for the men of Betula saved him, and he declared unto them all that he had spoken unto you. He told them everything that he told you. Therefore, O Adonai and governor, respect not his word, but lay it up in your heart, for it is true, for our nation shall not be punished, neither can sword prevail against them, except they sin against their Elohim. So this is telling us as well, when we are not sinning against our God, no weapon formed against us shall prosper. The only time the weapons have prospered is when we have sinned against our God, you know, or when it was for, or what the enemy was doing for our bad worked out for our good when God allowed it. Testing. But anyway, so verse 11. And now that my Adonai be not defeated and frustrated of his purpose, even death is now falling upon them, and their sin is now, she's talking about her people, and sin has overtaken them, wherewith they will provoke their Elohim to anger whensoever they shall do that which is not fit to be done. For their victuals fail them, and all their water is scant, and they have determined to lay hands upon their cattle and purpose to consume all those things that Elohim has forbidden them to eat by his Torah, and are so resolved to spend the first fruits of their tents of wine and oil, which they had sanctified and reserved for the priests. So she's telling them that they're doing all this stuff and they're sinning against Elohim. So this is what she's going to use to say this is why she fled and left them, because she's not going to eat unclean foods. She's not going to do the things they're doing. All their water is going, but really she knows it was them that got that took the water. You know what I'm saying? That damaged all the that held their water and stuff hostage. But this is what she's using to say, deceiving him with her words of why she ran from that camp over to them. Check this out now. And so, and reserved for the priests and that serve in Jerusalem before the face of our Elohim, the which things it is against the Torah for any of the people so much as to touch with their hands. For they have sent some to Jerusalem to, because they also that dwell there have done the like to bring them a license from the Senate. Now, when they shall bring them the sword, they will forthwith do it, and they shall be given to you to be destroyed the same day. Wherefore I, your handmaid, knowing all this, am fled from their presence, and Elohim has sent me to work things out with you. That's what she said. God has sent me to work things with you, wherewith all the earth shall be astonished, and whosoever shall hear it, for your servant is devout and serves the Elohim of heaven day and night. Now therefore, my Adonai, I will remain with you, and your servant will go out by night into the valley, and I will pray unto Elohim, and he will tell me when they have committed their sins. So basically, she's telling them they're going to sin, and when they sin, he's going to deliver them into your hand. Not one of your men going to lose their life, and I'm going to pray to him. And all this is making Hollow Ferns just feel so relaxed. She's telling them you're going to be, the whole world going to hear about this, and you're going to be ruler of all. For your servant is devout and serves the Elohim of heaven day and night. Now therefore, my Adonai, I will remain with you, and your servant will go out by night into the valley, and I will pray unto Elohim, and he will tell me when they have committed their sins, and I will come and show it unto you. Then you shall go forth with all your army, and there shall be none of them that shall resist you, and I will lead you through the midst of Yehuda, and until you come before Jerusalem. And I will set your throne in the midst thereof, and you shall drive them as sheep that have no shepherd, and a dog shall not so much as open his mouth at you. For these things were told me according to my foreknowledge, and they were declared unto me, and I am sent to tell you. Then her words pleased Holofernes and all his servants, and they marveled at her wisdom, and said, there is not such a woman from one end of the earth to the other, both for beauty and of face and wisdom of words. Likewise, Holofernes said unto her, Elohim has done well to send you before the people, that strength might be in our hands and destruction upon them that lightly regard my Adonai. And now you are both beautiful in your countenance and witty in your words. Surely if you do as you have spoken, your Elohim shall be my Elohim. Dad, he ready to take up her God. Your God shall be my God. Oh, fellas, if you that pleased with a woman that you gonna take up her God? Holofernes says, surely your God, your Elohim shall be my Elohim. And you shall dwell in the house of the king Nebuchadnezzar, and shall be renowned throughout the whole earth. So this right here, that's the end of chapter 11. So I'm gonna read chapter 12 and 13 really quick. But that shows you God answered Judith's prayer. She prayed for him to give her the words to say. She was bold. It take that boldness and courage for that woman to leave her camp with all the enemies of her people surrounding them and to walk out. But she was being led by the Spirit of Yah. And that's where that confidence and that courage come from. She had no fear. God does not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and a sound mind. That's the Spirit of God. And these men, even the enemies of the people of God, respected this woman. They honored her. You see, that was the Spirit of God, that wisdom on the inside of her. Wisdom is our friend, far greater than money. But going into chapter 12, then he commanded to bring her in his plate was set where bring her in where his plate was set, and bade that she should prepare for her of his own meats, and that she should drink of his own wine. So he had them bring her into his place and say, you can have whatever you want to cook, whatever you want to have. He was telling her that she can have everything in his own place, right? And so remember, she had gave her handmaid wine and food and different things that she gave her handmaid that they packed and they took with her. So she brought her own stuff. She didn't want to eat none of their stuff. Check this out. So he brought in there in verse 2. And Judith said, I will not eat thereof, lest there be an offense, but provision shall be made for me of the things that I have brought. Then Holofernes said unto her, if your provision shall fail, how should we give you the like? Like, what should we give you? We only got our stuff. So she said she's not going to eat their meat and stuff like that. It's an offense. And so they're saying, what shall we give you? And then she said, he said, if your provision shall fail, how shall we give you the like? For there be none of us with your nation. Then said Judith unto him, as your soul lives, my Lord, my Adonai, your handmaid shall not spend those things that I have. There before Yahuwah worked my hand the things that he has determined. So she basically said, as your soul lives, my Lord, I will not run out of the things that I have before God does what he's going to do while I'm here, pretty much. Oh, glory. Go ahead, Judith. Go ahead, Judith. So anyway, then the servants of Holofernes brought her into the tent, and she slept till midnight, and she arose when it was toward the morning watch, and sent to Holofernes, saying, let my Adonai now command that your handmaid, man, let my Adonai now command that your handmaid may go forth. Thank you, now I can get comfortable. She said, let my Adonai command that your handmaid may go forth unto prayer. Then Holofernes commanded his guard that they should not stay with her, meaning that she wanted the guards to get out. She wanted everybody to go there so she could be in prayer. So he commanded them. Hey, where was I for prayer? Then Holofernes commanded his guard that they should not stay her. Thus she abode in the camp 3 days, and went out in the night into the valley of Bet-Eula, and washed herself in a fountain of water by the camp. And when she came out, she besought Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharel to direct her way to the raising up of the children of her people. So she came in clean and remained in the tent until she did eat her meat at evening. Verse 10. And in the 4th day, Holofernes made a feast to his own servants only, and called none of the officers to the banquet. Then said he to Bagos the eunuch, who had charge over all the land, over all that he had, go now and persuade this ivory woman which is with you, that she come unto us and eat and drink with us. For lo, it will be a shame for our person. This book right here is the lexicon, and this is what you can order. What I was telling you to order for those of you who are getting the Sefer. This is a good book to have. It breaks down. I don't know if you can see that, the different Hebrew names and stuff like that. So this is a good book to have if you're going to order the Sefer. I'm looking for that Bet-Eula. Okay, Bet-Eula, Bet-Eula, a place in Yasharel. That's what I kept pronouncing. Right there. So anyway, so he's already told her, she's already prayed. Where was I? The everyone which is with you. So Holofernes is telling his servant to go and get her and bring her down. Persuade her to which is with you, that she come unto us and eat and drink with us. For lo, it will be a shame for our excuse me. It will be a shame for our person if we shall let such a woman go, not having had her company. For if we draw her not unto us, she will laugh us to scorn. Then went Bagos from the presence of Holofernes and came to her. See, he had no good intention. See, he wanted to sleep with him, and came to her, and he said, let not this fair damsel fear to come to my Adonai, and to be honored in his presence, and drink wine, and be merry with us, and be made this day as one of the daughters of Asher, which served in the house of Nebuchadnezzar. Then said Yehuda, Judith unto him, who am I now, that I should gainsay my Adonai? That meaning I should go against my Lord. Surely, whatsoever pleases him, I will do speedily, and it shall be my joy unto the day of my death. Okay, verse 15. Check this out. So now she going with him. So she arose and decked herself with her apparel and all her woman's attire, and her maid went and laid soft skins on the ground for her over against Holofernes, which she had received of Bagos for her daily use, that she might sit and eat upon them. Now Yehuda came in and sat down Holofernes, his heart was ravished with her, and his mind was moved, and he desired greatly her company. He desired to be with her, for he waited a time to deceive her from the day that he had seen her. So he was being patient. Verse 17. Then said Holofernes unto her, drink now and be merry with us. So Yehuda said, I will drink now and my Adonai, because my life is magnified in me this day more than all the days since I was born. Then she took and ate and drank before him, and what her maid had prepared. And Holofernes took great delight in her, and drank more wine than he had drunk any time in one day since he was born. So he overdrunk. He got drunk. Verse 13. Okay, this is where we finish now. Now, when the evening was come, his servants made haste to depart, and Bagos shut his tent without and dismissed the waiters from the presence of his lord. And they went to their beds, for they were all weary, because the feast had been long. And Yehuda Judith was left alone in the tent, and Holofernes lying alone upon his bed, for he was filled with wine. Now Judith had commanded her maid to stand without her bedchamber, meaning to go outside and just wait out there, and to wait for her coming forth, as she did daily. For she said she would go forth to her prayers, and she spoke to Bagos concerning the same purpose. So Judith had her maid waiting outside, and then she also told Bagos, which was the servant, the chief servant of Holofernes, she told him that she was going into her prayers. So, and she spoke Bagos according to the same purpose. So all went forth, and none was left in the bedchamber, because she had Bagos send everybody away as well from the king's side. So neither little nor great, nobody was there. Then Judith, standing by his bed, which is her and Holofernes, she was in Holofernes' tent. He was on his bed. They was in the same tent. And see, Bagos didn't run her out of the tent, because what did he say? Bagos already knew he wanted to be with her. He wanted her company. So then Judith, standing by his bed, Holofernes' bed, said in her heart, O Yahuwah Elohim of all power, look at this present upon the works of my hands, for the exaltation of Jerusalem. For now it is the time to help your inheritance, to help your people, and to execute your enterprises to the destruction of the enemies which are risen against us. See? She about to stand up for her people, baby. A woman. Then she came to the pillar of the bed, which was at Holofernes' head, and took down his falchion from thence, and approached to his bed, and took hold of the hair of his head, and said, strengthen me, O Yahuwah. So he drunk. She then went and grabbed all his hair, holding it with one hand, and she said, strengthen me. She said, strengthen me, O Yahuwah of Yasharah, this day. And she smote twice upon his neck, all her might, and she took away his head from him. She cut off his head, cut the head off the snake, baby. And And she took away his head from him and tumbled his body down from the bed, threw his body off the bed, and pulled down the canopy from the pillars. And immediately after she went forth and gave Holofernes' head, his head to her maid that was standing outside, and she put it in her bag of meat. So they two went together according to their custom unto prayer. And when they passed the camp, they compassed the valley, meaning that, remember that same valley they said the men watched them walk down the valley, went down the mountain, they couldn't see them no more. They encompassed the valley and went up the mountain, back up the same way they came of Bethula, and came to the gates thereof. Then said Judith afar off to the watchmen of the gate, children of Israel, open, open now the gate. Elohim, even our Elohim is with us to show his power yet in Jerusalem, and his forces against the enemy, as he has even done this day. Now, when the men of her city heard her voice, they made haste to go down to the gate of their city, and they called the elders of the city, and then they all ran together, both small and great, for it was strange unto them that she was come. So they opened the gate and received them, and made a fire for a night. It was strange. They wasn't expecting her to come back that night. Like at that time, they wasn't expecting her to just pop up like that. And so they received them and made a fire for light and stood around about them. Then she said to them with a loud voice, praise, praise Elohim, I say, for he has not taken away his mercy from the house of Yasharel, but has destroyed our enemies by hands this night. So she took the head out of the bag and showed it, and said unto them, behold, the head of Holofernes, the chief captain of the army of Asher, and behold the canopy wherein he did lie in his drunkenness. And Yahuwah has smitten him by the hand of a woman. And Yahuwah lives, who has kept me in my way that I went. My countenance has deceived him to his destruction, and yet he has not committed sin with me to defile and shame me. Oh, glory. You know what she's saying right here? So she said, so go back to verse when I said over here, when it says Holofernes that drink, and where was I? Okay, verse 16. Now when Judith came, he waited a time to deceive her from the day he had seen her. So from the first day he met her, and he was so astonished by her beauty and attracted her, he wanted to lay with her, but he was waiting for the right time to deceive her. She knew it. A woman know what a man like, baby. But so Judith, she knew it too, but she was being led by the Spirit of God to be clever. You see what I'm saying? Going back to the thing, God answered her prayer and told her how to deal with this man, and she did it. And so what she's saying here is, as Yahuwah lives, who has kept me in my way that I went, he protected me, and my countenance has deceived him to destruction, meaning my beauty deceived them, because they looked upon me with the lust of their eyes and the lust of their flesh, and that is what deceived them. Going back to Samson and Delilah. Remember Samson, he lost his strength because he was deceived by Delilah. But see, Delilah wasn't a virtuous, righteous woman like Judith. She was treacherous, but Samson couldn't stop sleeping with it, and her beauty got to him, and his ended up being foolish, letting that lust lead him to his destruction, right? So in this situation, the same thing happened, and Judith is saying it. He was deceived by my countenance to his own destruction, right? That's just like Samson and Delilah, baby. If Samson had control over his flesh and he wasn't led by lust, he would have never lost his strength. But God was still with him and allowed him to subdue his enemies. Even after they took his eyes out, he still had that strength on the inside of him. But anyway, so now Judas is saying, and yet he was deceived by all of that, my beauty, and he has not committed sin with me to defile me and shame me, meaning I ain't even slept with him. He was deceived, but God protected me. I did not have to sleep with him. Verse 17, then all the people were wonderfully astonished and bowed themselves and worshiped Elohim, the creator, and said with one accord, blessed be you, Elohenu, which has this day brought to naught the enemies of your people. Then said Uzziah who unto her, O daughter, blessed are you. Do y'all know they loved this woman? They loved her. Look at what God did. That's the power of God. Uzziah who said, O daughter, blessed are you of El Elion, above all the women upon the earth, and blessed be Yahuwah Elohim, which has created the heavens and the earth, which has directed you to be the cutting off of the head of the chief of our enemies. Only God can do that. Only God can do that, baby. The courage and the strength. I do not give you the spirit of fear, but a spirit of power. And here we see it manifested. The spirit of power manifested through this woman to protect and to deliver them the heads of their enemies. Above all women upon earth, and blessed be Yahuwah Elohim, which has created the heavens and the earth, which has directed you to the cutting off of the head of the chief of our enemies. For this your confidence shall not depart from the heart of men, which remember the power of Elohim forever. And Elohim turned these things to you for a perpetual praise, to visit you in good things, because you have not spared your life for the affliction. Look how this man is blessing this woman. You see, he is honoring her. Because you have not spared your life for the affliction of our nation, but have revenged our ruin, walking a straight way before our Elohim. And all the people said, so be it, so be it. Oh, glory. And I'm going to end there because this thing about to be an hour, 51 minutes. Look at the power of God. A woman of God is to be praised. And it takes a man of God to recognize when God has his hand, when the hand of God is on his daughters and he's working through his daughters. It take men of God. So how Uzziah spoke life into her, and he knew when to listen to her and to seek and to ask her. He told her to pray for us, and she did that. They reverenced and honored this woman. That's what men of God do. We're all supposed to be in this thing together. You know, real men of God don't tear down their sisters. You know. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. This was so powerful. I'm going to get off here and do what I got to do, but I'm excited about continuing to get back in this word, baby. That is the book of Yehudith, the book of Judith from the Sefer. Let it bless your soul. The power of God is real. The prayer of the righteous, God hears. You know, God is always going to be with his sons and his daughters, his kings and his queen. We shall not fear, because God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and a sound mind. Even though those men had a large army, 170,000 footmen, 12,000 horsemen, you know, Judith encouraged those brothers, don't give up. Look how big our God is. And she reminded God of the things he'd already done for his people when his people were opposed and when they were attacked by the enemy. She reminded him of how he gave them strength in the past. And she too asked for that strength. Oh, me, your widow. Give me the words to deceit and the countenance to deceive my enemies. And God gave her exactly what she asked for. And she went down there. And those men didn't question her. They honored her. And I knew they was probably praying for her. And she came back with the head of their enemies. That's the power of God. And he can work through any of his people. In the last days, God will pour out his spirit upon all flesh. And is doing it now. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. God is with his people. He'll never leave us nor forsake us, right? So anyway, I just want to share that. Have a blessed Sunday. Enjoy your day. I'm about to get up and get my work and stuff started. So I hope that blessed somebody. I hope I didn't confuse you. Um, maybe, but I hope I didn't confuse you with some of the way I pronounce the words and stuff. And remember, if you get the Sefer, get the lexicon, baby. It'll be an aid to you when you are reading the Sefer. And you can order this Sefer from Sefer.net. I probably need to get me another one because Bibles be tearing up and stuff, and my little ribbon in the middle that helps me that acts as my bookmark, that's already popped, and I can see here it's starting to come loosen a little bit there. So I should probably get me another one just kind of to have on the side as a backup, because sometimes when you start reading these things, they be tearing up and stuff. But anyway, y'all have a blessed day. If nobody told you that they loved you today, I'm telling you, your little country bunking sister loved you. You are not alone in this world, baby. We are together. Kings and queens, sons and daughters of Zion. Together we stand, we're strong. Divided we fall. We shall uplift one another, encourage one another. right? Love on one another, support one another, feed off of each other's strengths and gifts. We don't know everything. I don't know everything. So what I don't know, some of you might know, and you can help me, and what I know, I can help you. We're supposed to help each other. Together, we are the body of Yeshua, right? I love you. Have a blessed day.